How to start a business built off door-to-door sales in the most simple way possible without spending thousands of dollars. I'm super excited to make this video because when I started, I searched up so many different videos like, what's the best niche? How do I grow a team? What's an example of a great pitch? Like just things like that. And ultimately, there wasn't really a perfect video. And I'm trying to make that perfect video right now for you guys, just plain and simple, nothing beating around the bush. So let's get into it. So first things first, I'm gonna give a little bit of background on my business. It was called HomeGuard Maintenance, and it was a window washing, gutter cleaning, and power washing business. Really simple. And I decided to do that because it was the summertime around when I started, and it was just the most simple thing. And honestly, yes, it was popular, but I knew that it wasn't so popular around my town, and I could really take advantage of that. So that comes down to the first thing of starting a business, and that's gonna have to be, finding a niche. So I'm gonna write down here, find your niche. And the reason I say that is you can't have a broad business with multiple things. Like let's say, roofing, window cleaning, let's even say painting. The reason why I give all these different things is because you can't master one and you're not gonna be known for one thing. So find a niche and be really good at that niche. So after I found my niche, I first bought the materials to clean the windows and power wash and gutter clean, which, classic squeegee. I bought a little gutter cleaning thing, as well as a power washer. And I think that was around like little over 300 bucks. And after that, it was a cheap power washer. I know you're probably thinking, what power washer did I buy? It was an electric one off Amazon, and it worked. It really did. So you don't need any crazy startup costs if you're gonna go into this niche. But anyway, I practiced on my own house. I would clean my own windows. I would power wash my sidewalk, and I did my gutters the best I could. I wasn't really the best at that, but I could clean a window pretty damn good. So that's the first thing I started with. So number two, I'm gonna do master that niche as well as skill. Because guys, if you're gonna start a business, offer a really good service. Don't just wing it. You can do that, but you're not gonna get the best results if you don't know how to do your niche very well. So master that niche and skill until you're ready to offer something great to people. So I'm gonna pause real quick. You might be thinking about an LLC. Now, on my end, it's a little different because of my niche, but I bought an LLC before I even did anything because I needed business insurance just in case, a window broke, a power washer hit an outlet, started a fire, anything could go wrong for me, and I needed insurance, and I needed to tie it to an LLC in my, business bank account. So everything was kind of tied together for me and proper. You don't need to do that depending on what you are selling. But if you're going to do something with a service and you're working on their house, I do recommend getting an LLC and buying insurance as soon as you can because it can become dangerous and you don't want to dig yourself a money hole. I tried to explain that the best I could. Obviously, I'm not a business consultant. I'm just a 19-year-old who became successful with the business. So my knowledge is quite limited, but take it with a grain of salt. And that's all I have to say about that. So after you made your name, you found your niche, you made marketing materials, you mastered the skill, what do you do next? And that is door knocking. That might scare you a little bit, but I promise guys, it's not that scary and it's gonna make you a lot of money. What I personally did was the first 10 doors I knocked, I offered a free service. A lot of businesses do this, it's quite normal, and I really do recommend it because it builds a lot of rapport and you learn how to deal with customers more, and you're less scared of doing it on houses, and it makes things super smooth transitioning into actually selling. Especially when it comes to closing at the door. If you're offering a free service, 9 out of 10 times they're gonna say yes. Imagine I knocked on your door and I was like, hey, can I clean your windows for free? What are you gonna say? No? I mean, maybe, but you're gonna want me to clean your windows. And guys, this is like the best practice. Like seriously, for any business model, offering a free service just to learn how to do it and work with people is the best thing you can do. And when it comes to door knocking, I'm gonna be really honest, when you knock the first door, it is really nerve-wracking. Like I was scared my first ever door 3 years ago, and it was actually a funny story. My sales rep that was above me knocked the door and just said, go ahead. I was like, what? Like, you want me to talk to him? And he opened the door and I just, went at it. But it really helps getting over the first door. So let's say I just knocked your door. A good example for this is like this. Hey, my name is Jacob. I just started this business, HomeGuard Maintenance. It's a window washing, gutter cleaning, and power washing business. I'd love to kind of just wash your windows for free or power wash your sidewalk just to kind of learn how to do things and introduce you to my business. Something like that. Obviously, that's not perfect. Just went off the top of the dome. But That's a really good example. So start with a free service. So don't mind my chicken scratch in the back, but when I was writing that, I was thinking, when you're knocking doors for free and you're doing manual labor and, putting yourself out there and just doing it, it really builds a lot of grit and what you need to be a leader. And you're going to learn a lot just by doing that. A lot of you are probably thinking about startup costs because if you're starting a business, you most likely don't have a lot of money to deal with. So I drew an imperfect line here to kind of put down how much things cost me to start. So this is kind of like equipment. A website was $20 to $30 a month, depending on what you used. I believe I used GoDaddy and Squarespace, I think it was called, Square. So I added $200 for the branded t-shirts and polos that I bought, as well as $50 for the business cards, and then $75 for my LLC. And keep in mind, this is only how much it costed me. It could be completely different on your end. This is just, like I said, how much it cost me. So after I knocked some doors for free and I was feeling confident and I was just ready to go and start selling, I took a step back and I recruited people. So I had a small team, and the reason why I did that so soon was fast money. Guys, let's not bullshit here. The reason why you're starting a business, or at least for a majority of people, is to make money. And I just wanted it fast. Start small with maybe around 3 to 5 kids because you're gonna have to micromanage, and the more kids you have to do that with, it gets a lot harder and stressful. Basically teach them the pitch first, have them practice on your own door or just face-to-face. What I did was, like I mentioned, I had them come to my door. I'd open the door for them, act like I'm a customer or a potential client, and they would pitch to me. And I would make them do it over again until I thought they were ready to knock their first door. I also had weekly company meetings, and in front of the whole company, I'd have them pitch to me. And if I didn't like it, I'd make them go again. And guys, that really gets rid of some of the nerves that you can get, and it actually helped them a lot. So after you have your kids ready to go knock, get out there, go to a neighborhood, knock some doors. Just do it. Take action. That's the best way to learn in these situations, is just doing. If you fail at the door, which is most likely going to happen, just keep going. I mean, who cares? They're not going to remember who you are the next day. So just knock doors and learn your first day. This is it. This is really all it is. It's that easy. I can't stress that enough. But if you already have a business like a roofing company or maybe a solar company or lawn care, whatever it is, and you want to apply door knocking, because I think that's gonna just blow up your business when it comes to marketing. It is truly the best marketing that can ever be made because you're just going straight in front of the client and introducing your business. It's the best. I know a lot of millionaires and business owners, and the number one advice they give me for marketing is door knocking. Anyway, you can implement some of this to your business, but this is not talking about that. It's more solely focused on starting fresh. I was 19 when I started this, so this is really about low cost and being really simple. But if you can do all this, you're set up for success. So I went ahead and wrote down the startup cost for my business, which was $650 to $750. Obviously, it's not all this added up. It's the range that it took me, and it really wasn't that expensive. Yes, that's some money, but it's not going to be thousands of dollars like I mentioned. I really wanted to give you some tips of starting a business because I really didn't know what the hell I was doing. So this is kind of some things that I learned along the way. Track all finances. This is like the number one thing I'm going to tell you in this video that you should listen to if you're going to start a business, because you're going to need to know your revenue for taxes, for business growth, for multiple things. So track what you get paid, track what you put out for, paying your employees. So important. Also did things like incentives for my employees. So the person with the most sales on the month would get let's say $150, whatever. It just kind of gives motivation. This right here is free game, guys. Write a book, all right? Every customer that you end up getting, write it down somewhere. Write it down in your notes, write it down in a physical book. Just keep track of every single client you have. It's really good to have these clients written down or just in your phone contact, whatever in general, because you're gonna have so many at a point where it's gonna get confusing and you're gonna get callbacks, like people that want more work done or whatever it is. It's gonna get messy. As well as sending out like updates or marketing material. I did it every 2 weeks, and it's super important to get their email or their address to do so. So when you're writing them down, make sure you get the first name of whoever you worked with, the last name, the address, the email address, and their phone number. That's all you need. Also, name dropping. It's one of the most important tactics when it comes to door knocking. Let's say I'm talking to Miss Betty. I'm saying, hey, Miss Betty, we actually are working with Mr. Johnson 2 doors down. We just washed their windows. Use that example, but it's important to have this book to remember the names. Also, if you decide to sell the company, you're going to need a book of business, and your clients in general, you're going to need all of them written down. It just looks really good and it's important when you're selling the business. Systems, this is another one. You're gonna need a system for every single week. Without everything built out, you will be cooked. I mean, that's the bottom line. You're gonna need to plan out everything. You're a business owner, you're a leader. You need everything planned. For example, in my business, I had a Google Drive folder that all employees could access. It would have the pitch on there as well as an Excel sheet where they could put in the days and hours they're working. It would also have things like the services we offered on there and, discounts or deals or, certain tactics of door knocking they could use, just everything they needed on this Google Drive. Another system you could do for yourself is, every week what you want to accomplish for your business, your goals of that week, how many sales you're aiming for, just kind of, goals in general. I guess it's not a system, but it could be. And that's really important as well. Besides door knocking being the number one way to market, you're gonna need some other ways to market, and social media is going to be your best friend. I wrote down in order here my favorite social medias that worked with my business. Instagram being number 1, Facebook number 2, and TikTok number 3. I put 1 and 2 Meta. That's basically what it is. I actually didn't run any Meta ads, surprisingly, for my business, but I did just use the algorithm for my favor. So I would just kind of post like reels. I'd post like before and after pictures. Just little things like that honestly really help my business grow. I would also post things like discounts, and I would obviously link my website to all of these social medias so they can just click and book on there. But I think posting little like marketing pictures of like 20% off this week, take action now, whatever. Everything on this whiteboard right here is what you need to know to start your door-to-door sales business the cheapest, most simple way possible. Again, I want to mention that my knowledge is limited. This is only to my experience. I'm, not a business professional. I'm not a consultant or anything. So do as you please. Door knocking really changed my life. I started at a small roofing company, and a year later, I was at the biggest roofing company in Illinois. So I recommend it to everybody who wants to get into sales. Start with door knocking. It's gonna just set you up for success. If you made it this far and you like this video, please subscribe to me. There's gonna be a ton of more content like this. Obviously, I am new to this stuff, so I don't know exactly what I'm doing, but I found this very fun and I enjoyed it a lot, especially sharing my knowledge and kind of helping others where I couldn't be helped, if that makes sense. Like I said, when I started my business, I had no clue what I was doing and I was searching a lot of videos, and I think this really just simplifies everything, especially like when it comes to this section. It is really just taking action. I wish all of you the best in your business endeavors, and if there's any other further questions you have, feel free to leave a comment. I really don't know how to end a video, so I'm gonna end it just like this.